Everybody, nice to meet you. As Keenan said, my name is Dan, and then we have Matt from my team, as well as Andrew, who leads up our product development efforts. To give you a bit of context on what we're focused on, we started the company about a year ago, and prior to that, Matt and I worked at Visa, and we're very hell-bent on solving for off-ramp from crypto assets back into US dollars. Believe that that's kind of a missing piece in what's to become a thriving crypto economy. And the current process for off-ramping requires folks to send from self-custody addresses, i.e. MetaMask or any other, true Web3 wallet that they use, back to Coinbase, manually swap that currency in Coinbase, and then manually instruct the wire. And we felt that that could be a lot simpler, and in creating tools that would allow for people to near instantly convert ETH or other crypto assets back into USD. People would get a lot more comfortable using, the services within Web3, whether that be DeFi, whether that be within the NFT space, whether that be within, some of the new kind of, communities that are being created via DAOs, et cetera. So it has been an interesting road over the past 6 months, given what's been happening in the industry. Obviously, we officially secured our approval from our bank partner about 2 weeks ago. So we are in kind of early alpha testing with our live product, which is called Beam. And Beam is what we're going to be demoing for you today. So we'll pull up my screen right now. So at a high level, think of Beam as a web app through which people can, number one, enroll within our service, and then number two, gain access to transfer capabilities. We are, I'm in two dev environments right now. Sorry, our current dev environment and then our production environment. Reason being that I've already KYC'd with the service, so don't mind me when I'm switching between two tabs. But to begin, I'm going to show you the onboarding workflow, which is to do with screening of the user's EOA or externally owned address, i.e. their crypto wallet, KYC of that user, and then respectively kind of traditional watch list screening that's performed in partnership with Persona. So to kick off the flow, we use a kind of connect wallet login with ETH like workflow. This initially allows the user to kind of enter our application, and in the future allows for the user to return to the application. As I said, this is just a dev environment, so we're currently kind of access code gated still. This is a dummy code, as you'll see. But again, keep in mind that this is the initial user enrollment flow, at which point the user is initially creating their Beam account. So to begin, the user enters their email, accepts the T's and C's of us, as well as our custodian and liquidity provider, and then progresses through the process. We then send over a email verification code that the user can grab from here and enter within the web UI, after which they basically are moved on into the KYC and screening version of the workflow. One thing to call out there is we're doing an additional screening on the initial wallet address that's connected there. In the event that our crypto compliance platform returns back either high or a severe risk score, in that case, a high risk score, which basically is dependent on some of the configuration work that we do within our system, would require a manual review from our compliance team before the user progresses through the rest of the onboarding workflow. And in the event that the crypto address is associated with a severe risk score, then they would be precluded from onboarding any further within the flow. Those risk scores are derived by kind of proprietary logic developed by our kind of crypto compliance tool. We use, one of the ones that most of you are very familiar with, TRM, Chainalysis, Elliptic, et cetera. And those are kind of constantly evolving depending on what's happening in the space. So now assume that the user has successfully connected wallet and verified email access. We then kick off the kind of traditional KYC workflow, which we've partnered with Persona on. To begin, we're collecting name, address, date of birth, and SSN. So I'm just going to input these real quick. And after those are collected and the user verifies that the rest is pulled in accordingly, they can kick off the Persona KYC and watch list screening. As I said, that this is in dev right now in our prod environment. This triggers a workflow within Persona And depending on the response from persona, we either do kind of pass through onboarding in the event that there's no negative results from the lookup against databases and watch lists, or in the event that there are, that also triggers a manual compliance review. So key caveat with this flow is that this assumes like true happy path. Obviously we're in dev right now, but assume that we're in prod. I've kind of been pre-onboarded, and the transaction that I'll be processing shortly has been like pre-approved, if you will. So obviously this could be a lot slower in the event that this is a brand new customer that we don't know and that we need to onboard more carefully. But I wanted to show you all the happy path. So after the compliance onboarding is completed, the final step that we've created in the flow is to upload your preferred banking credential. So as of now, we are live with off-ramp through ACH and RTP in the United States. In the future, we're planning to add the push to card workflow with Visa Direct and MasterCard Send. For the purpose of this demo, we've implemented push to account or account-based payout, if you will. So this can be dummy data. The routing number has to work, but the account number can be dummy. So I'm inputting my bank account in this step. We have the ability to collect bank account information via Plaid in our roadmap as well. And then just to give you an idea of what it would look like when we do add the push to card workflow, instead of uploading the user's bank account credentials here, they could simply input their debit card number, which would allow them to receive an instant or near instant deposit to their checking account that's associated with that debit card. So we're very much building with this in the spirit of optionality here, both within the kind of payment credential options as well as some of the other workflows that we're creating. So I now have successfully added a dummy bank account. The final step within our UX currently is to expose a unique smart contract address on our custodian's platform, which basically is a one-to-one relationship with the user that's been onboarded, and as well as the bank account credential that they've uploaded into the system. The key gist here is that the user can use the Beam address how they see fit to off-ramp. So for example, they could copy paste this address and then put it into the same MetaMask that they use to enroll within the service to trigger the off-ramp, i.e. they could copy paste it and hit send here and then dump that information into here and then transfer value to that Beam address, which would then trigger the automated off-ramp, i.e. receipt of ETH or USDC, liquidation of said currency, and then transfer of said currency back to their fiat bank account. Or they could actually copy paste that and put that into another wallet of their choice. So say, for example, they work with, they prefer Coinbase wallet, or they could prefer Rainbow wallet or some of the other wallets that have, a little bit better user experience than MetaMask. Flow technically would allow for them to do any of those options. So the important call out there is, yes, we do a screen or a lookup on the initial wallet that's connected to our service to ensure that no bad actors are initially accessing the service. But in addition to that, we use a similar kind of lookup using our blockchain risk analytics provider to ensure that the source of funds address in that case, i.e. the funds or the address that's sending funds to that unique Beam address, is also not associated with any illicit activity. For example, interaction with a sanctioned blender like Tornado. So that is the end of the flow in the dev environment. I will now move over to our prod environment to show you the live, money movement workflow. So now, as I said, I can reconnect to our production app using the Connect wallet, log in with the ETH workflow. At which point I can actually get my live Beam address. So just clarifying, this is now my production Beam address that's live on our custodian's platform and will allow me to actually initiate the off-ramp transaction. Much like I showed you in the last workflow, the way to trigger this off-ramp most simplistically is to just send value to this Beam address using MetaMask. So I've copy pasted the Beam address from our web UI. I've then inputted into the send to field within MetaMask. I then input the amount that I want to off-ramp. So I'll do $15. And then I sign the transaction. As you'll see here, user does have to pay gas. There's no way around that with this current architecture, but gas is pretty low right now given usage of blockchain. So as you'll see here, I'm paying about $4.70 to trigger this off-ramp on the MetaMask side, at which point I am now sending the funds to the Beam address on our custodial platform. And that as soon as there is receipt at the Beam address, that will trigger the liquidation and the transfer of funds to the user's bank account that's on record. Last bit to call out is think of it as kind of like an adjacent workflow, i.e. as soon as there's block confirmation and respective approval, if you will, of the deposit within our custodial system, that's the point at which we trigger the payment at our bank partner, which allows for us to deliver the payments a lot more quickly. And then behind the scenes, as you'd expect, there's a lot that we're doing to liquidate the cryptocurrency into fiat and then settle the fiat currency from our custodian's bank to our payments bank. So this just received block confirmation. So I'll pull that up here. As you can see, it was successful about 9 seconds ago. That's the trigger point at which we're instructing our payments bank to trigger the off ramp. So because I actually have a Bank of America account within our production environment, which you didn't see me upload, it's configured for a real-time payment or RTP, which means that as soon as the process is completed to liquidate the cryptocurrency amongst other steps and then initiate the payment at our sponsor bank, I should have pretty instant access to the liquidity within my Bank of America account because of the RTP connectivity. So I've pulled that up now. We've seen it take about 3 to 5 minutes. So it's possible that we will cut the demo before it arrives, and I can just ping you that it has arrived. But I did just open it, and we'll see how quickly it works out.